Welcome to Motorize.d. Today we're looking at a bike that isn't trying to please. It's here to persuade. The KTM 640 Duke. A single cylinder that doesn't pamper you with electronics, but hits you with pure character. We'll talk about what it does brilliantly, where it can wear you down in daily riding, and what you absolutely need to watch for when buying used. The Duke isn't a classic all-rounder. It's more like a street-legal supermoto tool. Tall, slim, and razor direct. You can see that mindset in the 17-inch wheels and the big LC4 engine working away under the sharp-edged bodywork. And since this model was refined over the years, technically and visually, we'll also break down the differences between model years, including details like the bare-bones cockpit with an analog tack and a digital display. Gern, mir fehlt nur der eigentliche Text von Szene 2. In deiner Nachricht steht nach Original nur: Schick mir bitte den deutschen Voice-Over-Text oder ein Fotoscreenshot davon. Dann übersetze ich ihn idiomatisch, natürlich und ansprechend ins Englische. In the late 90s, KTM drops a statement. The 640 Duke brings full-on supermoto attitude to the street, uncompromising, loud in character, and impossible to ignore. At its core is the LC4 single, originally displacing 625C, born from KTM's off-road bloodline. Tough, torque-rich, and never overly polished. Early on, the Duke feels raw and purpose-built, with a clear supermoto stance, minimal bodywork, and function-first design. In the early 2000s, it becomes visibly more street, sharper lines and a more modern look, without watering down the concept. The signature package remains: a steel trellis frame, WP suspension, and a strong single front disc, often a 320mm setup. In short, the 640 Duke evolves in styling, but stays true to the LC4 idea. Direct, light, and demanding. Gern, mir fehlt nur der eigentliche Text für Szene 4. Bitte füge den deutschen Voice-Over-Text hier ein oder lade ihn als Dateibild hoch. Dann übersetze ich ihn idiomatisch, natürlich und ansprechend ins Englische. Beneath the bodywork sits KTM's well-known LC4 single, displacing 625cc. Depending on the model year, it puts out around 50 to 54 horsepower, but peak numbers aren't the point here. What really matters is the torque, arriving early and making itself felt straight away. Power goes through a 5-speed gearbox that suits the bike's raw character. More punch than long-legged cruising. Many versions run a Keihin carburetor, shaping throttle response and fueling more than you'd expect. The chassis is classic KTM, a steel trellis frame paired with long-travel WP suspension, often with a 43mm upside-down fork up front. Braking is proper supermoto spec too, typically a 320mm front disc with a strong caliper. At roughly 150 kilos ready to ride, the Duke stays impressively light, snapping into every steering input with instant reactions. Bitte sende mir den deutschen Text von Szene 6. Wenn du mir auch kurz tonsteriös, humorvoll, emotional und GGFlen Zielgruppe sagst, kann ich die Übersetzung noch passender formulieren. Visually, the 640 Duke is not a bike that tries to blend in. Sharp bodywork, the exposed trellis frame, and a kicked-up tail make it clear where it comes from. The proportions are deliberately slim, almost like a race tool that just happens to be street legal. The 17-inch wheels, often finished in a light color, and that unmistakable supermoto silhouette fit the concept perfectly. Ergonomically, you sit tall and engaged. Depending on the model year, seat height is around 860mm, the bars are wide, and the riding position is built for control, not comfort. The cockpit stays functional, typically an analog tack paired with a digital LCD, easy to read but free of frills. The tank is narrow at about 12 liters, which sharpens the look but limits range. Bottom line, unapologetically sporty, clean and focused, with nothing unnecessary. Gern, mir fehlt nur noch der eigentliche Text von Szene 8. Bitte füge den deutschen Voice-Over-Text hier ein oder lade ihn als Datei hoch. Dann übersetze ich ihn idiomatisch, natürlich und ansprechend ins Englische. In the city, the 640 Duke feels like a scalpel. Slim, wide bars, and great visibility. It drops into tight corners willingly, and the upright riding position makes parking lot maneuvers and U-turns effortless. The LC4 single punches hard from low revs, but down low it can feel a bit abrupt, especially if the carb and fueling aren't perfectly dialed in. The WP suspension brings real precision, razor sharp on smooth asphalt, but less forgiving on rough streets. That's where its everyday limit shows. Potholes come straight through, the seat stays firm, and the vibrations are simply part of the deal. On back roads, it really comes alive. On longer highway stints, though, it turns into a grind. Wind pressure, a 5-speed gearbox, and an engine that wasn't built for easy cruising. Gern, aber in deiner Nachricht fehlt der eigentliche Text nach Original. Bitte schick mir den deutschen Voice-Over-Text für Szene 10 oder ein Foto-Screenshot davon. Dann übersetze ich ihn idiomatisch, natürlich und ansprechend ins Englische.